Today, we discuss Miro. Today, I want to talk about the hellscape that is technical diagramming, right? Everybody's nodding their heads right now, And there is a potential solution that I want to share. There was one name that several people brought up. I did some digging, and it's kind of nuts how much this program Miro has for developers. I have to share this. It could potentially be a game changer for you. So my favorite part about Miro is that half the work is already done. Like right now, typically we spend hours starting diagrams from scratch, gathering information. You get buy-in from every team. That's a lot of work to do. But Miro has a full set of integrations with the tools you're probably already using. And they also offer open APIs and SDKs for custom solutions for all those niche diagramming use cases we have to do, right? So the end result is the same, but it doesn't take forever. It's a massive, massive time saver. I'm transforming basic flowcharts and network architectures, and it all lives in one place. So are you using Miro? Have you used it? I want to hear. That's MIRO.com.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Ich warte seit Wochen auf diesen Tag und tanz vor Freude über den Asphalt. Als wär's ein Rhythmus, als gäb's ein Lied, das mich immer weiter durch die Straßen zieht. Komm dir entgegen.
Hello and welcome to Gegenpressing, the Bundesliga podcast. This is the transfer show. I'm Manu and Stefan. He's Stefan Biankowski. Stefan, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, mate. First kind of week without the main show. I felt myself kind of twitching on Monday night, wondering what to do with myself. Waiting for you to text me, being like, should we record? But yeah, the football season might be over, but the wedding season has well and truly begun. And I was actually spent most of the weekend at a wedding, which was lovely. Seeing some friends and stuff. But yeah, it's been good. I'm just back from my kind of walk as well, like a kind of hill walk with my wife and the dog. Lovely summer day here in Scotland. So, I'm missing the football, but I think I was going to say, I think I'm probably in a happier place, and I think this week's newsletter was quite cathartic in that sense. It managed to let me kind of exercise some demons, shall we say. I hope subscribers appreciated it, but it felt very much like a sort of end of season rant about the kind of state of European football.
It's going to be very hard to follow. Obviously, mine this week is going to be about Hamburg as well. So if you like catastrophic pieces, I guess, or as you say in German, Katastrophenmeldungen, Hamburg as well will be right up your alley as well. But I thought about it's been a weird week because obviously I started it on Monday flying back from Munich to Vancouver and then taking the ferry to Victoria, which is all on the same day because you leave Munich at 3 and you arrive in Vancouver at 4, which is like odd because it's kind of like this weird time travel where you spend 10 hours and really you only lose 1 hour.
Yes, I guess when you go that way, you're just parallel with the rotation of the Earth, aren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. It's light outside the entire time, and
how long is that flight?
It's 10 hours, so you lose 1 hour. Very strange. But having said that, I took the ferry. You have to take either you fly from Vancouver to Victoria, which is really only about 60-70 kilometers apart, or you take a ferry, and I took the ferry, and it was a beautiful sunny day in the mid-20s, and so I just sat outside the ferry on the passage through all these little islands, and yeah, it was a nice afternoon. And I was thinking that too, it's like odd, like usually at this time we would record our podcast. Instead, I was sitting on a ferry, making my way home. But Stefan, once I did get home, lots of stuff happening. We have lots of transfer talk this week, and of course, it's gonna keep us busy throughout the entire summer, even though the season is over. And just to go through the topics today, we have Felix Nmencha, we have Kaufmann joining Union Berlin, Dino Toppmöller confirmed as Eintracht Frankfurt's head coach, Naby Keita to Werder. and the whole Bayern transfer roundup, because there's lots happening there in terms of players not joining and players wanting to leave. So lots of big topics. I want to start with Felix Nmencha. He's the Wolfsburg attacking midfielder, central midfielder, depending on where you want to place him. He's the little brother of Lucas Nmecha, right? He's a German national team player, or should be a German national team player, was supposed to be with Hansi Flick's side, which probably Flick in his own would warrant a whole podcast. We should probably wait until this window is closed. But he is not with the national team because he posted, he's a strict religious Christian, right? So he posted a reposted a transphobic Instagram post that I don't want to get into because, it is something that, we're a tolerant podcast. We want to accept everyone. And if you are posting that kind of content, I think you need to have the sort of personal conversation that the German national team is going to have with him. And it's also interesting because Dortmund, Newcastle, and Man United have been linked with him. At Dortmund, he would be a Jude Bellingham replacement. And Dortmund's fan group, Dortmund Rainbow, has already said that they also want Dortmund to dissect his personal beliefs before they actually go there. So all that side noise aside, Felix Nmencha is a player. I did want to address what's going on the outside. We don't live in a bubble. There is things in real life that are more important than football, but that doesn't take away the fact that a lot of clubs want to have this player, which is interesting because obviously I didn't see the link as a Jude Bellingham replacement. He has played a better second half of the season. He has been a goal scorer. At 15 million euros, he's at a very good price. But still, I mean, this is a really interesting profile linked to a lot of very big clubs, Stefan.
Yeah, I think right now it's Dortmund, Newcastle, Manchester United who have been heavily linked with him, although it could add in the coming weeks and months because I think two things kind of stand out. He's a very impressive young player, but also Wolfsburg are the kind of club who are happy to sell at a certain price. You could argue whether they have a huge amount of ambition in terms of, keeping players and developing players. They're not really the Wolfsburg of old, I think, to be perfectly honest with you, especially since, was it Dieselgate, kind of crippled their kind of, shall we say, financial ambitions. But I think, and as such, rather, as you said, Nmecha could end up leaving Wolfsburg for about 15, 20 million euros, which I think would be a steal for the most part, considering the potential he does have. 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's got 3 goals and 8 assists in the Bundesliga this season, but what's worth bearing in mind there is that he's only played about 12 or 1,300 minutes, so we're talking about a player here who hasn't quite cracked into the Wolfsburg team as a first-team starter, or at least kind of nailed that down. There's guys like Max Arnold who are obviously still in front of him to a large extent, but he certainly has potential. Now, with that in mind, I think it's probably important to kind of break down what clubs are interested in him and why they might want to sign him. I'm very surprised that Man United have been heavily linked with him. I'm not quite sure where that comes from in the sense that, with all due respect to Man United, and I don't think I'm kind of, I'd be upsetting too many Man United fans by saying that they're not really a club that go out their way to develop players or have the patience to kind of wait around for a player to kind of get up to speed with what's going on there. We've obviously seen that with Jadon Sancho in recent seasons where if a player's been asked to kind of play a different role or change their game, then Old Trafford's maybe not the best kind of training ground for that. So I'm not quite sure how productive a move to Man United would be for Nmecha next season, and I'm also not entirely sure how much we can believe those reports, just because I can't imagine Erik ten Hag is sitting pounding on the desk in the boardroom at Man United saying he needs this player, because I don't know what he adds to a team that already have a pretty fantastic or cracking, as I was going to say, number 10 in Bruno Fernandes. So he's not quite that level yet. Newcastle intrigued me because if you kind of look at their kind of transfer policy recently, it looks to me like they're kind of going down the kind of path of a Brighton, in the sense that they're looking to try and identify and sign players who obviously have talent, obviously have a potential, but haven't quite been kind of nudged into the limelight just yet, and they're looking to maybe pick up players before half the Premier League, even though they exist. So I think we saw that this week with, I can't remember who it is they've signed, but they signed a very impressive kind of young player who is definitely got bags of potential, but certainly not a player that you would expect to kind of be playing first team football for Newcastle immediately. In fact, he's going straight back on loan to Feyenoord. So I would say Nmecha is in that kind of category of a player who could certainly be a first team player for Newcastle, but I wouldn't be kind of putting on my chips on him being a starter or a playmaker. Having said that, Newcastle desperately do need some players who can create goals. I think their biggest assist creator was Kieran Trippier last season. So if you kind of look at like where the assists came in that team, they definitely do need some more creativity in midfield. So maybe Nmecha could kind of slot in and do something for them next season. And of course, there's Dortmund. And as you said, the Bellingham comparisons or links are really interesting. Last week, we talked about how Dortmund replaced Jude Bellingham. We did a whole show on his imminent move to Real Madrid and where Dortmund go from here. And, you know, we know that Alvarez has been lined up as a potential signing. I'm not sure if that's quite over the line yet. I think I saw Man United were linked with him.
West Ham is pushing too.
Yeah, West Ham is pushing now too. We're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But, you know, if they were to sign Alvarez as this kind of holding defence midfielder, then someone like Nmecha can come in and take on the responsibilities of a number 10, then that could end up being a really impressive kind of double signing to kind of help cover what Bellingham did on the pitch last season. So 3 clubs linked, varying degrees of speculation and reality behind each one. But I think with Newcastle and Dortmund, I could certainly see something happening there, because at the end of the day, if either of them offer up 15 or 20 million euros for Nmecha, I think they can probably sign him.
Okay, here's how Miro works. See, it's amazing.
What's everyone doing at David's desk? Ever since marketing started using Miro's collaborative online whiteboard, he thinks all our other teams should sign up. Why? He says Miro's making his meetings disappear. And if every team gets on it, that means even less meetings. They're using Miro for brainstorms, mind maps, customer research.
So could we use Miro instead of having another 100 meetings for every round of feedback?
Yep. You can comment, react to ideas, even leave a recording on the board.
And what about presentations?
There are Miro templates for that.
How do you know so much about Miro?
I've actually been using it all along. I just used a Miro board to plan the best vacation.
Okay, I'm on board.
See how Miro users save up to 80 hours every year by meeting less and doing more. Get on board at Miro.com with 3 boards free forever. That's MIRO.com.